Social Security DNA testing for benefits. Let's talk about it. Today I'm going to be discussing Social Security DNA testing for the purposes of benefits. Now, normally when someone is asked by Social Security to provide proof due to a deceased parent, in most instances is the biological father, you may be required to submit some kind of evidence to show proof. One of the options on the table may be DNA testing. If this is the case, you have several options on the table. Option number one would be utilizing a sample from the coroner's office. Sometimes it could be bloodstain samples, or sometimes it could actually be parts from the body that are preserved really well. My advice is, if in the event you choose this option, I suggest that you try to handle the situation of the Social Security DNA test for benefits as soon as possible. Because sometimes what happens is, if there's not a bloodstain sample available at the coroner's office, they may have specific parts of the body, like a bone or something like that, available, and bone deteriorates. The DNA in that can deteriorate over a period of time, and it may be a bit challenging to extract any genetic material that could be used for genetic analysis. Also too, even if you decide in the event the coroner doesn't have a sample on file, you could potentially excavate and bring up the dead parent's remains, and utilize a bone sample that way. If you choose this first option, just know that it's a very expensive process, and your payment will be in twofold. When I mean twofold, there is the DNA test, which would be very expensive, which would be known as a forensic paternity test. That test will be expensive, and if you have to, bring up your family member, dig and bring up your family member to be tested, or in this case it would be the parent, that's going to be an expensive process as well. So that's option number one. Option number two would be to utilize your grandparent, the parents of the father, which would be the grandparent of the child. If this is the case, then this is an easy fix in terms of being able to prove a biological relationship, and it's a lot less expensive than the first option I just mentioned. The other option that's on the table, if grandparents are unavailable, is what is known as an avuncular DNA test. An avuncular DNA test is a DNA test that allows an aunt or an uncle to be tested against a niece or a nephew. So if this is on the table for you, this is also an excellent option that you can utilize to provide proof of a biological relationship. So these are the three basic options that you have. They're very strong options and convincing in terms of providing biological proof of relationship to be submitted to Social Security. Another thing you want to keep in mind when you're doing these kind of DNA testing services for this purpose, there's a proper chain of custody that needs to be handled. So you want to make sure that whoever you decide to utilize to assist you in this process, whatever company, make sure that they explain to you the entire process before going forward in terms of how they're going to handle it. You need to have that clarity, and if you run into a company that says it's okay for you to you can collect your own samples, and they do no due diligence in terms of explaining to you how to handle the DNA samples or how the samples should be handled, and they walk with you and assist you through that process, then you might want to continue your search in terms of having that company, that specific company, handle. I would also pay attention to very inexpensive pricing. Just be mindful of where you're going in terms of that, because a forensic test, the first option that I mentioned, is a very expensive test. You're going to probably spend upwards of $1,000 minimum on average for that particular type, and the turnaround time for that result is about 2 weeks, and especially depending on the sample. But these are all questions. Make sure that you have the sample, or see if the sample is available before contacting a DNA test. And I'm speaking to the forensic aspect of it. Make sure that if that's the case, because if you don't have any other family members like uncles and grandparents and aunts or anything, make sure that you can talk to the coroner's office and find out if there's any samples available. Now, this video is specifically for DNA testing for benefits, so it's important that you make sure that you have all of your paperwork in order. If you have any paperwork, sometimes certain institutions may give you documentation requesting you to perform a DNA test. If that's the case, then you want to make sure you have that available for the laboratory. That will help in completing what is known as an unbroken chain of custody. So this way they know there is no tampering. But nonetheless, it's important that you speak to someone that is insightful, that has knowledge, and they can help guide you when you're looking for this DNA testing service for Social Security benefits. All right, I'm going to leave it here. I don't want to continue any farther. I think I've spoken long enough. Until next time, thank you for listening. In closing, I would like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you found the information useful. Also, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel to get the latest information on all things paternity, paternity testing, and relationship-related issues. If you would like to expedite your learning about the paternity testing process, please click the link in the description below to check out my new book on Amazon called Are You or Are You Not the Father? The how-to question and answer guide to the paternity testing process. Once again, thank you for watching and take care.